Thank you, Chair. So I wanted to just go back over quickly the move to create a capital ditch project or capital ditch funding source to support the ditch maintenance crews. I know that crew does a tremendous amount of work, and from what I've seen and what I've learned even just recently, when we're looking at pre-amalgamation infrastructure challenges, I had, one person tell me that there's actually, three aspects to our budget line. There's the building new, the maintaining of existing, but also the undoing of poor. And, I just wanted to have some comments on, how are our ditch systems looking generally as a city? Do you see a pressure coming for our outer urban neighborhoods that are seeing the rehabilitation projects come forward? And do you think you'll have the resources, both this year, but in upcoming years, to address what I see to be kind of a mounting challenge?
So, Mr. Chair, we've definitely heard, and especially through the Rural Summit, basically some of the concerns related to the ditching. We've seen some very positive shift from a finance perspective in terms of increasing the budgets related to ditching, which is allowing us to move from what has traditionally been more of a reactive approach to address basically problems as they come up to being more proactive. Now, that's going to take us a bit of time to transition, but at least we've set up a base funding source to be able to address that. I would say in the urban area, we often get the challenges also of how people have shifted basically or modified their ditches over time, which is also impacting the operation of the ditch. And that's where working closely with Tammy's team, basically looking at basically the drainage impacts there. In some cases, they turn into it's less of a maintenance project, it turns into a capital project. That will continue certainly moving forward. So I think overall we're definitely in a better shape now because of the funding base that we have.
Okay, that's great to hear. I wanted to check in also. I know in the 2024 infrastructure master plan, we had recommended 2 FTEs to do more proactive stormwater management, evaluations of areas that we're going to be potentially seeing a lot of infill. And I think those were established in the 2025 budget. I was hoping that I could get a comment on how those new FTEs are doing, whether that is that investment has been satisfactory, and whether you're seeing some good feedback for your teams before the new zoning bylaw obviously comes into effect next year, pending appeals, of course. But we should ideally, with the Housing Task Force report and that new zoning bylaw, see more shovels in the ground. I want to know that those investments are going well for you.
Thank you, Chair, for the question. I'll start off and I'll ask my colleague Sue to provide a bit more details around the 2 FTEs, but you are correct. We have been able to optimize those resources. We have challenges with intensification, so making sure that there's enough capacity and that there's no material change to the existing drainage. And that would also include areas that are served by ditches as well. And so we do have capital sources that are excluded from the program that Laine is looking after, that provides for some of that more engineering review that would be required. And maybe, Sue, if you'd like to provide comments on how the resources are doing overall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councillor, for the opportunity to just provide an interim update, because we will be following through on our commitment in the IMP to return to Committee and Council to more broadly explain the program that Tammy mentioned, about intensification and servicing, but also the on-site stormwater management program, which I think is one of the ones that you also had in your mind. Thank you. So there is more to come on those, but there has been great progress made. I'll point to the new zoning bylaw since you mentioned it, and there is a clause that is being refreshed within the bylaw that will make it mandatory for that on-site storm to be part of any application that walks up to the building counter. As part of the new zoning elaborates a little bit to make sure that we capture that fully. Thank you for the question.
That's great. And sort of similar or different, we anticipate that in the coming years, as these ditch rehabs go forward, but as some of these infill situations, infill neighborhoods are intensified, one of the assets they're looking to be included are sidewalks. But of course, the intersection of sidewalks and ditches can be problematic from a drainage point of view. How are we accounting for both the research and development of solutions there, but also whether there would be an increased pressure on sidewalk infrastructure build-outs for this new design? I would hate to suggest to communities that have ditches and that are seeing intensification that they will have to live without a sidewalk. I'm sure the city is trying to come up with solutions so that everybody can have that pedestrian safety. So could someone comment on where those types of the R&D, but also the additional asset dollar pressure would be in these budgets moving forward?
Thank you for the question. Intensification does present a whole new list of challenges for us to address, and you're correct that understanding what other municipalities are doing and being in touch with transportation associations, et cetera, is a great way to inform our work and make sure that we continuously improve. So yes, that is part of the challenges that we'll address with sidewalk investment as well as ditches, because you're right, we're really morphing something that was perfect when it was built in the 50s or 60s, and we're trying to get it to adapt to today's expectations. I think my colleagues in transportation planning are looking at that specifically on arterial roads, and it is part of the shopping list of things that we will try to address within the urban area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And final question, Chair. Can someone please comment as to how streets are selected for integrated renewal projects and whether councillors are at all part of that decision making?
Mr. Chair, the prioritization processes across all of the investment recommendations that we make evaluate a long list of or several criteria that are technically based. Condition assessments of the assets, so of the pipes that are within the road, feedback from our operations teams about how often they're attending and what kind of things are working or not working well. The amount of traffic in the case of roads, whether there's a sidewalk or not, what the adjacent land use is, what the pedestrian traffic is. There's quite a list of criteria that form these giant spreadsheets that we evaluate. Even when all of that data is considered, there's a risk assessment that takes place, a prioritization in the prioritization process, as well as a coordination. Frankly speaking, the integrated projects are usually driven by the pipe needs. It's the underground needs, it's the condition of those pipes that are driving an integrated project. It is our biggest single program within the renewal budget. And I would have to say, I would think it's like many of our recommendations to council it's technically based. And so we'd be very happy to expand on how we make these decisions. And I will tell you that this is one of the programs that is very difficult to prioritize because it has multiple funding sources, and each of those funding envelopes have to balance out within all of the other needs, and we still have to make sure that we're getting our higher risk and higher priority investments in front of you for consideration.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.